All right. Good afternoon, Lockhart ISD. Um, hopefully the link worked better. I'm looking and we have 183 people on, so it looks like the link is working. We'll wait a couple minutes before we get going just to allow people to log in. Absolutely. Hi, Miss Cruz. So just a couple logistical things. If you have any questions, feel free to use the live chat. I'll try to answer those questions. If they're relevant to the topic that we're discussing at that time. If not, I may save it for the end. There are some things that I do want to share, and then some. As I mentioned in the email, I'll stay on here to answer questions that you may have. Thank you, Miss Gaddis. Um, and we'll kind of go from there. Miss Gaddis, actually, the so when I set up the meeting, it just captures a picture of you, and I didn't realize that's what it was doing. And then I just left it on there. I thought it was kind of fitting for the event. Yeah, the mask that you see that I was wearing in the picture. Compliments of Miss Chi Rocha, teacher at Lockhart Junior High School. Shout out to Miss Rocha, doing a great job. She's donated a lot of masks for our community members, cafeteria staff, bus drivers, as well as some other folks as well. But that one in particular was made by her. Thank you, Miss Conrad. Okay, so I'll wait a little bit longer, see if I tested it just a minute ago on my phone and my computer. The link worked. It looks like a couple hundred people. It's working for as well. Um, yeah, if you're talking to folks and they're struggling, have them click on the link from their actual invite that's in their calendar. Um, that may be the issue, not from their email, but if they go to the link that's in their calendar, that's live and updated. When I sent it out initially, um, there were some issues with that link, but the link in your calendar should be updated and should allow everyone to get in. Yeah, so if you'll share, any of your colleagues are saying they cannot get in, let them know to click on the link that's in the calendar invite. It should get you straight here. Miss Rocha, if you're watching, people love the mask design. So I want to thank everyone for joining us. More people continue to trickle in. Um, hopefully we won't be in a situation where we have to have these meetings virtually for much longer, but certainly for the foreseeable future, this is our reality. I know it is kind of different also to have district-wide staff meetings. Um, but I wanted to explain kind of the rationale behind that. Certainly you guys are used to meeting as a campus and are still doing so. But because of this crisis, as you know, things change very quickly. Our usual communication cycle in terms of when we work through certainly things that are going to the Board of Trustees for approval is a 2-month cycle. Obviously, with this crisis, we cannot wait 2 months to make decisions and move on things. So things are moving at a really rapid speed that requires a little bit communication adjustments on the district's part, where typically we can, allow things to go through your campuses and to communicate that way. But we want to remain transparent and in frequent communication. So we're trying our best to, whether that's an email, letter, or your principal still sharing information with you. But certainly there's some things that I think is important to keep everyone in the loop. Um, so we're going to go ahead and it looks like the pace of people logging in is kind of slowing down. So I'm going to go ahead and get started, and then folks can join in. But I want to start just by recognizing a couple of things, or a few things. One, today is our Cafeteria Hero Day, and during this time, there's no, um, you know, the the cafeteria staff that we have right now are just doing an outstanding job. Um, as you guys know, they're every day putting themselves, in danger. Contacting the public, passing out all the meals, working in the kitchens, and our staff is just doing an outstanding job. I think that anything you can do to show them your appreciation, tell them thank you. I think it will go a long way from them. I actually just left Lockhart Junior High School, and we had a fajita luncheon and everything for the cafeteria staff today. I was delivering that, and to show you what kind of staff we have. So even on the day that's about them and is honoring and celebrating all the work that they're doing, I go and they give me a card. And and they're not on this call. Hopefully, right now they're eating their fajita meal. But just shows you how wonderful our cafeteria folks are. Such caring people who just to go above and beyond every day for our kids and for our community and for you guys. So please help us in celebrating them today. Um, Also, today is National Principals Day. So, of course, we want to celebrate the work that our principals do every day. And, again, we ask that, if you could help us, send them a tweet, send them an email, send them a note, showing your appreciation. We have an outstanding team. They're doing an outstanding job, especially during this time of crisis. Um, I want to also couple of important things and give some shout outs too. We had our first ever. You may have seen my email that I sent out earlier regarding announcing our lever leaders. That's a part of our pilot program as we shift and continue to improve the culture and climate and work conditions for teachers in Lockhart ISD. This is a big part of that in working towards sharing leadership all the way from superintendent level all the way down to the classroom. We're excited to kick off this pilot program that will work its way through district wide as we learn from it and make adjustments and continue to improve on our district. Also, want to give a special shout out to all of our new VIP Lockhart ISD Visionary Instructional Planning Initiative teachers. Cohort 4 we celebrated today. So we have a little less than 30, I believe, brand new VIP teachers. The fourth year going into it. Just very excited to have them join in the VIP team here in Lockhart. And then also, I want to thank all of our teachers and all you guys who are serving on committees, working with your departments, working with your principals to help us make good decisions, both in the short term and how we're responding to COVID-19, but also more long term, whether that's summer school or planning for the fall. Had the chance today to sit in the meeting with elementary teachers, and the conversations that we're having with folks are great and help us inform our decisions so that we can do things that are meeting the needs of our staff and then, of course, our kids, most importantly. So, wow, I kind of lost track of all the comments. So hopefully there's not a question in there. It looks like a lot of celebrations and exclamation points. In all caps. So I'm going to assume all those things are happy points. Looks like it. Okay, so I want to jump into some bullet points, some communication things. As you know, and as was expected, the governor ended his ordinance, and but still, we want to be clear that the expectation and guidance from state and federal officials is still that we maintain social distancing, that we're safe, and that we take every precaution necessary to keep ourselves safe and our community safe. And we've had some questions about that, about are people expected to come back to work? And no, no, we're not. Um, I'm only in my office because, you know, I have 4 kids, and sometimes, having a block of time to focus on this can be difficult. So I wanted to come up to the office for this meeting. But the expectation is absolutely that people are still working from home, and only coming, to campuses or to the office if absolutely necessary. We want to ensure that you're still safe and that everyone's safe. So everyone is still is being asked to work from home, and I want to be clear about that. Um, and we'll continue to do so throughout the summer. Um, so another thing that I want to talk about, we're going through a process right now. Our district improvement team and our district of innovation committee actually have went through a process and approved for our board of trustees to look at offering additional health benefits, a plan that would counter and give you guys a second choice outside of just the TRS health benefits program. The board of trustees approved that we add that choice, and we're very excited about that. It comes at of course, a cost savings to you and your families, and we'll be sharing information about this. But more importantly, it comes with better benefits. So we're excited that the District of Innovation Committee for one, and the District Improvement um, team, district advisory team, pardon me, both approve those, and then certainly that our board of trustees approve that. We'll have more information will be coming out in May this month about that, but I certainly wanted to share that great news as we continue to give you better benefits. Our health insurance statewide and on the TRS system, we know is not ideal, and we're happy that we're going to give folks an option to look at and consider that one is a little bit cheaper, and then also provides better benefits for all of our staff. So keep an eye out for that. Just don't want there to be any confusion. You'll still have a choice if you want to keep your TRS, and then you'll have a choice if you want to look outside of that system on the vendor that we'll be working with. I want to just thank all of you guys also. The Lockhart ISD right now is getting certainly a lot of kind of regional attention for the great things that you guys are doing in the classroom, all the way to the national level. Mr. Picho at Lockhart Junior High, for example, was featured in a national story about the work that she's doing with her distance learning classes and things. I think that that is true for all of the classes and all the teachers in Lockhart ISD, and it's certainly makes me proud to see that our district is in the national and local media for very positive things, because of all the work that you guys are doing. So I want to talk about quickly COVID-19 and our responses, and just a quick update on that. As I mentioned, our cafeteria staff's doing an outstanding job. We are distributing over 10,000 meals every day, which kind of shows you the scope of how hard our cafeteria crew and our transportation team, who is delivering many of these meals, how hard they're working. When you think of 10,000 meals every day, and we have, a little over 6,000 students in our district, that tells you, the need that is out there, and the void that our food service is able to fill for many of our families who need it. Our technology, we've at this point have deployed almost 4,000 devices, mostly all Chromebooks, some iPads for some younger kids, but almost all of those have been our Chromebooks. And parents continue, and the campus has done a great job to continue to check out those devices so that kids can connect to their learning. our plan right now, it's not finalized, but we're still working with CNI and principals. But our plan right now is to continue to leave those devices out for elementary students all the way through June, and then for secondary, we will start getting those back once the school year um, is completed, and we'll start getting those back inventoried and things, unless kids are in summer school and need it for credits and things like that at the secondary level. So you can have in your mind knowing that if you're in elementary level, the kids who have devices will have them throughout the month of June, whether they're in summer school or not. Summer school is a separate conversation that our CNI team is still working on with teachers. We're absolutely proud of the Lion Link um, that we have now, and that's what we're calling the Lion Link is our internet network that we are building throughout Caldwell County to connect every family to high-speed internet. We're very proud of the work and support from our board of trustees and the vision that they have to ensure that we are resilient in any crisis, whether COVID-19 or anything that may happen in the future. And part of ensuring that we're able to be resilient during good and bad times is having the proper infrastructure in place. And I'm extremely proud of our board for their leadership and making that happen for all students in Lockhart ISD. I also want to point out that if you're a staff member who lives in a rural part of Caldwell County and struggles for internet, we're happy to support you with that as well. If you'll just reach out to me or Mr. Adam Galvan, we're working on scheduling, connecting our staff as well. So feel free to contact us if you have any questions about the Lion Link internet for you as a staff member. Um, And so, and then lastly, the distance learning, CNI and your principals will be sharing more information about that on how the year is going to wind down as we get closer now in May, working towards the end of the year. So I just want to give you guys a heads up. If you haven't heard that from your principal yet, you will be hearing the plan for how long we'll teach for, how long we'll give assignments for. All those things moving forward. You'll be getting that directly from the principal. Um, Take a quick drink. So in terms of another major thing I wanted to talk with you guys and get in front of you is the budget planning process. So our budget planning process started back in January. I believe I've mentioned that before, and goes all the way through June when we approve a final budget. This COVID-19 crisis is, for obvious reasons, causing a lot of issues for our national economy, our state economy. Here in Texas specifically, it's not just the losses in sales tax, it's also losses in revenue from oil and the price of oil taking a massive dip, going from, it was kind of hovering around $60 a barrel to, in a way, actually negative at one point. So that has a direct impact. So our board of trustees, we're working on how do we make wise decisions that gets us in a situation to where we can be in an advantage when the next legislative session happens. So the way that our budget works, the legislature meets, they create they created House Bill 3 this legislative session, and then there's a biannual cycle. So it's a 2-year cycle. So what happened with House Bill 3 and what we did last or this school year and what we budgeted for, that same money, if you will, is for this coming year as well. So it's a 2-year cycle, and there's no reason at this time for us to believe that will change. The Commissioner of Education, the Comptroller, our local representatives who I've been in contact with have all been consistently messaging that that the money that we've been expecting for this coming school year is still expected to be there. Um, what's difficult is that the legislature will meet again in January, and they'll start planning the state budget, including how they'll fund public education beginning in January. And then, so for this next budget of 2021 in January, when we start planning our budget, that's where we'll potentially see, what's the state going to do? Are we going to have big cuts in revenue? Those types of things. Um, so that's kind of a general layout of how that works. I've heard some things, and people have asked about, because there are a lot of districts around us, and districts are making some decisions, or there's rumors floating around. And I just want to speak, clearly about a few things. One of the rumors that I heard was that we were going to do a pay cut this year in Lockhart ISD, and that could not be. I mean, that's completely false. That is not even an option that we're considering to make as a recommendation to our board of trustees. So I want to speak very clearly on that. If you've heard that, if you've been concerned with that, that is not accurate. That's not true. Actually, I've never have even made that comment or suggestion or even thoughts to ever make a recommendation to our board to do that. So I want you guys to understand and be confident that we're not looking at a pay cut or anything like that. Um, what we are doing is trying to look at every part of our budget so that the decisions that we make now don't hurt us if next legislative session we have cuts to public education. I think it's obviously likely that that's going to happen. In all honesty, and I think anyone can come to that same conclusion, just with the price of oil and what's happening to our economy. Um, but we want to make decisions now that set us up to be in a better position. So one of the things that we're looking at doing that is a big part of this um, is how we give a raise next year. So one of the things that we're talking with the board, and this hasn't been decided or approved yet, but I want you to know the conversations that we're having, and these are happening in board meetings, and you're welcome to watch our board meetings. But I know a couple of you do because I get emails from you. But I know most of you don't have the time to do that. Um, but we are having conversations about we still want to give a raise next year, but how do we package that and structure it so that knowing the likely budget shortfalls that are to come in our next budget, we're not in a bad situation. So what we're looking at right now is some type of a one-time payment bonus for all employees across the district. And I don't know for sure how much that'll be. It could be $1,000, it could be $500, but I think that's somewhere in the range of how that is looking right now. And again, we still have some things to talk about and discuss, but I fully expect that you will receive an increase in compensation. One of the reasons why we're looking at a one-time payment is because we're able to do that, say, for example, like in the month of November, and give everyone, a one-time bonus, if you will. And then you can plan accordingly. If that's important for you to use for the holidays, you can use it that way. If it's important for you to save it and spread it out over the entire year, that's your choice to do so. So that's one of the options we're looking at, and the reason for doing that is because if we were to do a typical raise that goes into our formulas and structures, what it does is next year, if we have a budget shortfall like we're expecting, now that is already built into the system, and the only way that you can reduce your costs is to reduce your staff, and that is something that we're absolutely committed to not doing. So by doing it this way, it's a one-time payment. It doesn't change our cost structure and scales, so that if the budget shortfall happens, like we expect to happen, we don't have to cut staff because now we hadn't added that into our cost structure. So it gives us a little more flexibility on how to do that. And if the budget shortfall doesn't happen, well then great, and then we continue to to just give a raise like we have in every year in the past. So hope that makes sense. But that's one of the things we're looking at. We're also looking at making some investments because we understand that we still are charged with educating students. So we're looking at some investments in, for example, early learning. So in pre-K, for example, one of the things we're trying to figure out, and I think we're pretty close, so I can say it, is looking at Carver, adding an aide for every teacher so that in our primary grade levels where the foundation of learning happens, those classrooms are as small as possible so that we're able to support and grow and learn students so that we're not having to invest so much when kids are older and doing it and making those investments early in their education. Another example is we're looking at having interventionists in the elementary grades, adding an additional one that would be focused on K-3. And that's for a number of reasons. Obviously, early intervention is better, but it's also a direct strategy from this crisis and knowing that there are going to be a lot of gaps in learning for with kids being out of school for so long. So I don't want you to think that oh, we're not spending money or we're not investing in kids because we're afraid. That's not the case at all. What we're trying to do is look at, okay, so what are the best investments we can make as a school system so that we can take care of the learning needs for our kids and our staff, but also not be reckless with our budget and do things that we know are going to cause an issue immediately next year. And we don't want to be in that situation. So that's kind of the strategy and approach that we're taking with that. Just trying to be laser focused on our investments and what we do and add. Um, Knowing that we have to be really lean right now because of what we expect to happen with our next budget cycle. Um, Another thing, one of the things we want to do with our health benefits too, of course, we want to ensure that you get better quality health care, but it's also a strategy of how can we continue to, and why we push so hard with our DOI, District of Innovation Committee, and our DAC team and our school board, because that's an area to where we can continue to help maintain district costs, but give you more benefits and make it cheaper for you so that your out-of-pocket expenses are much less. And so that's part of the strategy as well. And we're working on kind of monetizing all of that for you guys. And whenever we approve our budget, we'll be able to clearly say that this is the value that we're trying to give you as a staff member in terms of the total benefits package and not just the pay scale. Um, it's going to be confusing at this time because you're going to see some districts that may give a typical raise instead of a one-time payment. And I just want to caution you to, to look at and remember that every district is in a different place. There's a neighboring district very close to us, Hayes CISD, to where they could give a 3% raise and we would still pay more than them without a raise. And then when you include our better benefits, that goes up as well. So I want to just remind everyone that we are looking at every option. We're looking at all of our competitors to ensure that we maintain our spots in that top quartile of districts in Region 13, so that we ensure that our staff is taken care of from that regard. Um, let's see. In terms of the last kind of budget thing, we realize we have a responsibility to maintain, upkeep our buildings, our facilities. To manage growth, all of those things are important and a big part of our budget as well. Second to staff, we will continue to do things. For example, we have made some purchases of portable buildings that will be going at a couple of different campuses who are already kind of over the 100% capacity threshold. I realize that we could say every one of our campuses is full, but there are some campuses who are well over the thresholds that you would expect a school to be at, and have been as creative as they can with their space. So we're looking at doing some portables. We're even looking at a portable, or we have already approved the purchase of a portable cafeteria for Lockhart Junior High School. The safety of all those students and having over 500 kids in one space for 30 minutes, isn't something that we can continue to sustain. So we'll be able to split the cafeteria there, for example. We also are looking at, there are a number of things that we wanted to do from a budget perspective on facilities that we may not be able to do moving forward. We were looking at investment in things like furniture, um, kind of classroom setup and design things that we've had to push pause on, even though we had approved them a few months ago before this crisis has happened. We want to maintain and save that money so that we can utilize that for next year. If this budget shortfall happens, like I believe it will happen. So we want to save every bit of money that we can to get us through next school year. Planning now is going to be important to do that, and not waiting till next school year to wonder what happened. So if you were thinking that something, you were going to get new furniture, things like that, just please understand, those are not decisions that we make lightly at all, because obviously the instructional atmosphere and environment matters in student learning, and we agree with that. Um, but looking at the pros and cons, it was something that we felt we needed to pause and slow down a little bit on that as well. Um, so again, I just want to recap and make crystal clear that in Lockhart ISD, no, we're not looking at a pay cut for this year. No, we're not. We're not doing a blanket hiring freeze. That was another one, because I know there's some districts around us who have already implemented a hiring freeze. We're still filling our positions. Are we looking at every position that opens up, and is there a different way that position can be utilized, or is it needed, especially if it's at central office or outside of the classroom? Yes, we are having a conversation on every position, but we are not in a hiring freeze or anything like that you've seen in some of our neighboring districts. We, we want to continue, number one, to be able to educate our students to the best of our ability. And with the staff that we have right now, I can't see cutting in any of those campus-based staff. So that's kind of the gist of the things. I think I went 3 minutes over. And I'm not sure if there are any comments. Let me kind of scroll through if there are any questions. But if you have a question and maybe you want to rewrite it so it'll come back to the top, and I'm happy to stay here online and answer any questions that any of you may have if you want to stay online. If you know if you don't have any questions and you're okay, then I want to just thank you so much for everything that you're doing. The Rangers are the best. You see the sign up there. But just want to thank you so much. Sincerely from our board of trustees. I get the chance to engage and talk with them, and they just continue to just to be in awe of all the things that you guys are doing. And this short meeting was just to get in front of you guys to communicate some things that are bothering me, and that I don't want rumors out there. But we're working hard to ensure that we're okay for this budget, and that we're okay for the next year's budget as well. And just want to thank you again for everything. If you haven't, thank your cafeteria staff, thank your principal today. Send them a note, send them special tweet or something. Absolutely, Miss Crable, thank you. Don't forget it's Senior Honk Day this evening at 6 p.m. There's a route that's on our Facebook page or Twitter. It's out there. So again, just want to thank you all, and I'm going to stick on here if you want to stay and ask questions. If not, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Thank you. Do we know if we'll be starting back to school in August, Miss Walker? I think right now we're planning as if we will. I don't. I think it's too early to say with certainty, and it may not even be our decision. The right now we're under. We have to follow the guidelines set by not only federal but states, and then our local county and city officials. Right now we're planning to like we're coming back to school in August. So. Golly. Um, right now for premium pay, I think there's a question on that. Premium pay will continue for cafeteria staff. Premium pay will not continue for any category outside of our food services programming. Ms. D's on summer camp. We'll make a decision by the end of the next week on this on summer camp, Ms. D's. Right now, we're planned. We're staffed up. We have everyone hired. We'll make a final call next week, though. By the end of next. Oh, I'm sorry, the following week. By the end of the following week. My weeks are going together. Mr. Martinez, right now 226. I'm not sure right now. Right now, we're just all social distancing and working from home at this time. Miss D, that's what I'm referring to on summer camps. So, the community ed summer camps are the ones that I'm referring to. Teachers of the year will be announced very soon, Ms. Barrientos. I don't recall. I forget the day we're announcing that, but very very soon. We actually finished all the interviews and everything. We'll be announcing those very soon. Yes, Miss Handy, custodial staff. What they were up until next week. Thank you, Miss Owen. Thank you, Miss Brents, for sharing that information. So be coming out later. Miss Ada, are you looking forward to that pin? Of course, Amanda. Of course. We're gonna wait a little bit longer, see if any other questions that come in. What is Go greatest of all time? Is what it stands for. Miss Gomez, we're actually having some conversations about how to support bilingual education right now, but nothing that's firm or any decisions like that. But I will add that comment in there. Miss Rojas, would you mind putting the question on there again? I think I lost it in there. Okay, I'll check on that. I'll check on that, Mr. Rojas, regarding premium pay for schoolwork handouts. I'll check on that question. I don't have an answer right now. We get Weber. Um, Walter, in terms of links for webinars for PD, I'll ask our CNI department and then also our campus principals to see what the plan is for that. I'm not sure about that one. Same as Adair. Our CNI team will share that information on professional development. I'm not sure what we're doing on that one yet. Ms. Walker, to my knowledge, no, people won't have to be tested for COVID-19. And if I had to guess at this point, I don't, I don't see that happening just because of the number of tests available and those types of things. But then also just the frequency of having to test people. But again, that could change. But right now, I have not heard any plans of any district doing that or being required to do that. Yes, thank you, Ms. Deering. Laura, on the registration I know registration just opened, online registration, and in terms of the in-person one, which is the one I think you're doing, Ms. Brents, do you want to chime in on that? I don't recall. I don't think we made a final decision on that yet. All right, looks like we're kind of starting to whittle off the call. If you have any last minute questions, I'll wait a little bit longer to type in any other questions. And yes, Kathy, we want to make that happen for them. We also wanted not to just string people along, and that's why we just made the decision to offer all three on the same day. Yeah, Mr. Johnson, we're going to double your pay effective immediately. Whatever 2 times 0 is. Yeah, we'll follow the typical summer shutdown procedures that we've always followed for conservation of energy. All right, Mr. Ramirez, I'm gonna start practicing kickball now. Mr. Ramirez, we might have a push the kids and strollers race coming sometime soon. Miss Miss Garcia, the bilingual stipend that was approved, or that still absolutely yes. The bilingual stipend was already approved. It's already yeah. That's still going to happen. That won't change. Thank you, Miss Garcia. Thank you, Miss Walker. All right, I'll give it another 15 seconds. I don't know if any other board members want to make any jokes on there. It's your last call. Just for you, Miss Fairley. That's fine. Coach O, you have a special gift coming your way. I'm sure you'll love it. Work on your vertical. It's one of those little Nerf baskets. Thank you, Shara. All right, guys. I want to thank you all for your questions. Thank you for participating. If you have any other questions or comments, maybe you didn't want to ask on here, feel free to email me, and I'll follow up that way as well. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.